The Elite Flood Cult, a project that I've made before in the past, but I wanted to give it a new look and style in today's video. Today we're going to be making a giant diorama, something I haven't really done before, and it's going to be pretty epic. I started out by making the door here for the very front, kind of the main centerpiece for this whole diorama. Now, honestly, this door took way longer because I made templates so I can remake more later. I had to cut out all these little bits and grooves, trace them on paper, and then recut out things to get each angle just right. I wanted to make sure that this door really looked pretty game accurate, or at least as close as I could make it in the time that I had, so I really put a lot of work into the door. Then I started gluing on various different pieces of styrofoam and pieces of paper onto this door. Sometimes when you're making a covenant door, the hard part is just all the different shapes and grooves. They really did a good job in Halo 2 Anniversary making the architecture look interesting, so I tried to copy that the best that I could here in this project. Once we were finished with the door, I needed to start on the area that's kind of around it, kind of the frame, I guess you would say. So I started to draw out what the frame looked like in my mind and what I saw from the picture. And then I just continue to draw it out and then cut it out for each side. Gave it a test fit, made a copy, and then I taped them both together. Once that was done, I started to trace out on a bigger piece of Pink Panther foam that I get from Home Depot, and this was going to be the outer frame of the door itself. And we went for the little arch here, almost a banana shape, and I had to cut that out. Accidentally broke off a piece while I was cutting out the door, so I had to re-glue that on, but that was super simple. Little crack in it, but that gave it a little bit more texture and detail. I wanted to bevel the edges. I didn't want this thing to look crappy. I wanted to put a lot of time into this and make it look as good as possible, so I beveled the edges and then also hit it with some sandpaper later on. After that, I had to add one more little bit of detail onto this banana shape for the frame, and that was about it for the door. Then I had to make the backing, which are going to have these diamonds on it, to give it this really nice covenant look. I just followed what I saw in the actual game picture itself, did my best job to imitate it. Once the diamond was done, I had to cut out probably around 50 or 60 of them individually, so that took about an hour, I would say. And then I just started placing all of them along this little piece of styrofoam that I retraced out for the backing. Started to cut out the actual banana shape, and then I just placed in the Pink Panther foam right there and added some glue in the back, hiding kind of the cracks and the grooves. I added some glue onto each one of these sides as well and attached them to the piece of foam. And then I started attaching the door as well. I wanted to make the door look like it was being opened by the flood that's inside. Since this is an elite flood cult, they have some kind of proto grave mine inside, so I wanted to make it look a little interesting and different than just having the door closed. I also did a little bit of detail work with this piece of styrofoam, and then I just glued it right down to some big, thick Pink Panther foam. I wanted to make it look like those rocks that the Covenant built this door into, or maybe even the Flood Cult themselves made this door, so I had to make a base for it. These are also going to be steps later on that I'm drawing out. And I cut off the excess bit of Pink Panther foam. Started to carve around. And now I'm using this big knife, chunking out this piece of Pink Panther foam to make it look like rocks. This is pretty simple. All you do is really kind of go across into different directions and take pieces of Pink Panther foam off just by putting your knife into it. Super simple, just takes a little bit of time. I attached it to the side of the door. And I also did it on each side as well. Then I took some scraps that we had from the Pink Panther foam when we carved out the rocks, and I just kind of made it fill in these gaps that we had. And I did the same thing to the other side. I had to add a roof to the top of this thing to cover up, well, the inside, so I chunked up the same thing, made some rock texture, and applied it on. Using tape just to kind of hold it down so I don't have to hold it for 2 or 3 minutes. Then I started grabbing more little chunks of Pink Panther foam and started applying them all the way around the top, covering up these cracks that we have inside. I also started carving away on the sides. Once that was done, I made some stairs off screen and I thought those looked pretty good. And then I started to design how I wanted the rest of this thing to look. Glued the bottom and stuck it right on a smaller piece of Pink Panther foam. These are going to be some stone pillars that are laying around, so I took some Pink Panther foam, chopped it up, and started adding some stone texture to it. Using a tinfoil ball really gives it this nice gritty look, and I did that all the way around these stone pillars. Then I took a pencil and just got into all those grooves, and a pair of tweezers and started to rip off little bits, making it look old and damaged. Also adding some cracks. Taking my pencil and going through everything once again. Add some different kind of stone pillars, just mix it up a little bit, so I just kind of chopped away randomly to make these. Now I wanted to add some different height and elevation to the ground, so I took some dollar store foam core and just added some layers on with that. This is just going to make the elevation look a little bit different than all being flat, which is good. Now it's on to paint. We're going to do a base black coat of paint. This is so if you miss any spots, then it's not going to be pink, white, or brown, or whatever color it is. It's just going to cover everything up and give you a nice base. The reason I don't spray paint all my stuff is because spray paint actually eats away at Pink Panther foam, so if you do decide to make your own dioramas with this, don't use spray paint unless you're going to give it 1 or 2 coats of paint and then maybe some glue, PVA glue, or some Mod Podge. It really is kind of hard to spray paint Pink Panther foam and have it look good. Continuing just to go around with my black paint here. Now we're moving on to some gray here. I want to do a gray base coat on the rocks and make everything look stone textury, and then we're going to go back in later with different colors and take care of the Covenant door. So I'm just covering everything that's rock based in this gray, and on the ground as well. Once that was done, I wanted to add a little bit of a different color to these stone pillars and give them kind of an off brown. Then I'm going to hit them with some green again later to make them look older and a little bit more mossy. I also made these weird stone pillars as well. I made some stuff off screen just to save myself some time in this whole process. I've had these for a while actually, so I wanted to use them in this diorama to make it look a little bit more Covenant and just make it feel more like they've made a base here. Then I'm just applying some green as a dry brush. And also on some bigger stone pillars that I made off screen. I added some white to the stone to make it look a little bit more chiseled and just gritty. And then for the backing on these diamonds that we made earlier, they were all going to be blue. Now for these side pieces of the frame, I made them both purple on each side. Then for the frame itself, I made it a lighter gray, different color from the stone that we did earlier. And also on the door as well. Now we're going to add a little bit more detail by adding some purple to the door. And we're moving on to one of my favorite materials, Liquitex Gel. So I thought I was going to use this everywhere, but I decided just to use it in a few select areas to just kind of hold on the various flocking that we're going to use. And honestly, this was going to take way too much Liquitex Gel to do what I wanted, so I moved on to just PVA glue and grass flocking later on. But I took the Liquitex Gel and just started applying it all the way around these hills and mounds to make them look a little bit more smooth, just so they didn't seem so lumpy and kind of gross. I also added some to the top of the mountain so I could add some foliage and various different flocking up there as well. I started adding these little Covenant pieces all around. Then we started to add some flocking. I got this stuff from Woodland Scenics. And various different flockings that we got from Bam Bam as well, I applied to the top. Add different colors, didn't want everything to look the exact same. Then I'm adding watered down PVA glue all across this diorama just to make sure when I add the flocking that it all sticks down. And I added some to the top of the mountain as well. Now I'm mixing up some green stuff for these flood tentacles that are going to be coming out of the door itself. I also wanted to add a little prophet figure on the side, like these elites have changed and they sacrifice their prophet to whatever kind of flood is inside. Rather it's a proto grave mine, a full grave mine. I haven't decided yet. Basically I just wanted him to be the speaker for the grave mine. Now I'm adding these stone pillars that we made earlier all around this diorama. Now I'm going to be painting the green stuff with a few different colors here and just making it look like, you know, flood biomass. And then we're adding a different shade as well, and we're gonna add a red little dry brush after, and that will be all for the flood here. Also made it a little messy on the sides. Piece of biomass that I was working on another project, so I just attached this to the back of here so it wasn't blank in the back. It gave it that flood look on the inside, which I thought was really important. And then I'm adding black paint smudged on with a little bit of paper towel and some brown paint as well to make it look older and like it's been here for a while. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, here it is, the Elite Flood Cult, and I'm so happy with how this all turned out. I mean, this was an absolute monster project for me, something I've never really done this big. I've done big projects before, but this one just took it to like a whole nother level. I definitely thought I was pretty creative with the whole front door here, the steps leading up. I kind of wanted to give it that nice Halo 2 kind of vibe with these stone pillars on the side, and overall I'm really, really happy with this. Now, I don't know what time and era in Halo it takes place. I just put Halo 3 Marines in here and a bunch of Elite Ultras. I wanted to make a bunch of Flood Cult Elite Ultras or just Flood Cult Elites, but I already put anywhere from like 25 to 35 hours, I would say, into this whole diorama itself / MOC, and I need to get it out on my channel. So if you guys want to see a part 2 to this video, make sure you leave a like. I'm gonna have a like goal in the description down below. If we hit it, I'll definitely make a part 2. I kind of left the back open. I left the back open on this thing for a reason, so I can make kind of like an inside of where this actual flood cult is, and there may be an inner base, or maybe that's where their proto grave mine or grave mine is. And I'm super happy with how this turned out. I really like that I have a little prophet right here kind of talking to these Marines before they go inside. I have my elite counselor kind of guarding. Very, very happy with this, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as well. Definitely a ton of work, definitely a ton of fun. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I'm so excited to be able to continuously put out a ton of fun stuff. If you want to help support this video a little bit more, definitely go and share it places, share it with friends. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and then likes, like always, really help. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. Peace out.